July 6, 2013, a runaway train carrying 72 crude oil-filled containers near the center of Lake Gonmonti, Quebec. The tanker cars burst and the oil caught fire. In the town of Natisse, Thomas Harding failed to apply significant handbrakes to the train, leaving it incorrectly fastened on a downward slope and then left for the night. Unfortunately, a fire broke out on the train's engine. The fire was then put out by firefighters who responded to the call, but they had to disable the train's engine in the process. The train engine, however, was an element of the train's braking system, so the train's brakes aren't working anymore. And soon after the firefighters left, because Harding didn't apply enough handbrakes, the train began to slowly move on its own towards Lake Gonmonti and crashed. The 63 tankers that crashed and detonated spilled about 6 million liters of crude oil. The spill killed 47 people and caused over 2,000 people to flee their homes. It damaged a big portion of the town center, which was expensive to save and fix. And around 100,000 liters of oil flowed into the neighboring Clodier River, causing major environmental problems for the river, animals, and settlements downstream. Now imagine this, living in a town with your family in the future and having this happen to you. That wouldn't be pleasant at all, would it? If we don't raise awarenesses about the consequences of oil spills in Canada, they will only wreak more havoc on our environment, ecosystems, economy, and people. My name is Gurkiran and I'll be talking about how oil spills are impacting the lives of Canadians through topics like climate change, changing population, and resource management. Now, what exactly is an oil spill? When any spill of crude oil or oil distillation products pollutes a surface of land, air, and/or water, it is known to be an oil spill. In Canada, oil spills are mainly detected within Canada's coastal areas, including the Canadian Great Lakes. It can happen while refueling a ship, pipelines break, oil tanker ships drown, due to human mistakes, when drilling activities go wrong, and even natural disasters. Now comes the question of why we should be concerned about the oil spills in Canada. Well, these spills may destroy marine life like beaches, mangroves, and wetlands, disturb a beach day, and render seafood to be dangerous to consume. Oil spills may damage ecosystems and economies. The two most common ways they affect ecosystems are when oil physically affects a plant or animal, and the other is just the toxicity of the oil. Oil contains a variety of hazard chemicals. Heart damage, stunt development, immune system impacts, and even death can be caused. Not to mention that cleaning up an oil spill, measuring the pollution's effects, and assisting in the ocean's recovery all require strong science, money, and a lot of effort. Let's talk about climate change. If climate change is worsened, then stronger, more dangerous storms will occur, and this will result in more oil spills, which means more of our ecosystems, marine life, and economies will suffer. Oil spills can occur during heavy storms, but as sea levels rise and bigger storms with more moisture develop as a result of climate change, offshore refineries will require ever increasing precautions. If we have these oil spills more often, it can poison or suffocate surface dwelling animals and birds. Fish, seabirds, and other marine species are frequently going to be affected, and the impacts are typically negative. Even species that escape the first environmental threats may suffer in the weeks and months following the breach, because oil can impact food supplies for sea life, making them less accessible or of worse quality. And our animals, they might become malnourished or poisoned as a result of contaminated food supply. Previous oil spill research has found that harmful substances may stay in the water for years, settling to the seafloor and contaminating the sediment. Oil spills have already wreaked havoc on our ecosystems, and climate change will just further add to the problem. Now let's talk about Canada's changing population and oil spills. Currently, there are around 38 million people living in Canada, and the population is slowly increasing. For example, Canada is taking in more immigrants in order to combat our shrinking population problem. Because Canadians aren't producing enough children to replace the aging population, the economy needs additional people. Canada is a popular immigration destination because it efficiently provides newcomers the necessities for a happy life. things like healthcare and education. Because our population is growing, an oil spill will be able to infect an increasing number of people. Oil spills not only hurt animals and the environment, but they also have a negative impact on humans. Oil spills can damage public health, contaminate drinking water, deplete natural resources, and cause economic disruption. Individuals may be subjected to physical, emotional, and financial strain as a consequence of them. Hence, as our population increases, more and more people become at a risk. Now, what about managing our resources? When there's an oil spill, we lose or damage two resources: oil and the environment. We are losing oil and in causing environmental damage. We must manage our oil so that oil spills do not occur and so our planet is not harmed. This involves taking preemptive measures to prevent an oil spill from occurring in the first place. We do this by examining many elements that may contribute to an oil leak, such as increased traffic in coastal areas, anywhere oil is drilled, transported, or used, failures of oil pipelines, and errors in oil management, for example, due to the carelessness of those in charge of the oil, and many others. These need to be addressed in order to avoid an oil spill. And if an oil spill does occur, we must act quickly to ensure that our resources are not severely harmed. By properly managing our resources, we can avoid jeopardizing the quality of life for current and future generations. As a result, we must consider how we will manage our resources. Is there any solution to oil spills? Unfortunately, there is no practical answer to that question. But we may reduce their impact by learning more about them and being more cautious in general. To truly reduce oil spills, Canada has constructed three defense pillars: prevention, preparedness, and response. The first pillar, prevention, entails constantly developing methods for preventing oil leaks. Measures like double hulls and escort tugs, inspections, local marine pilots, as well as traffic control systems and navigational aids, are used to direct vessels in transit to prevent things like accidents. Many oil incidents may be avoided by taking extra precautions and preparedness. For example, in the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned the Gongwanti train accident. If Thomas Harding had been just a little more cautious about how much pressure he applied to the handbrakes, the oil spill would not have occurred. Nevertheless, people aren't flawless, which is why mistakes occur. We need to concentrate on correcting these errors as much as possible. However, we also must be prepared in the event of an oil spill. This leads us to the second pillar of preparedness. Responders can act promptly and prevent environmental harm if we are prepared to respond to a spill. Canada is constantly increasing its spill response readiness, from coastal risk assignments to local and regional response plans and contracts with response groups, equipment catches, on water drills, and staff training. When individuals are informed on what to do in an event of an oil spill, the response time can be reduced. Lastly, the final pillar is response. If preventative efforts fail and an oil spill still occurs, a safe and effective response must be implemented as soon as possible. And cleaning up spills take different tools, like booms, land booms, sorbents, mechanical skimmers, underwater tools, hydrocarbon pads, just to name a few. And to get the quickest and best outcomes, these tools and cleanups are performed by skilled individuals. Regardless of the type of cleanup, it has to be done safely and quickly in order to minimize the amount of damage done. And with these three pillars, we do our best to prevent these kind of spills and take responsibility on any spills that occur until a definite solution is found. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what I had to say on how oil spills are affecting Canadians' lives via issues such as climate change, population change, and resource management. I hope that your now understanding of oil spills have opened your eyes to why this is such a significant topic.